Right, tonight's talk. I'm not going to do an opening meditation, simply because there's going to be a meditation in this evening, and I want to make it quite a strong, powerful one, because I think we need some powerful energies at the moment. We need some powerful energies to get rid of the fear that's floating around. And the reason I'm giving this particular talk, it was strange. There was nothing booked for this month, and I think, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And usually something pops up, and then I thought, right, Anne, I think you should talk, because I've a couple of things happened to me where I had I have a little group. We get together every week to talk about our intentions. And I've got two groups like that I'm part of, which is fantastic, and it's going so well. But with the one group, that my very, very dear friend, she must have caught me on a bad day. I think I was feeling a bit frazzled. But I sat down, and the first thing she said, well, of course, you know that COVID's a hoax. And I felt like someone had just stabbed me. And it hit me deep, deep, deep inside, and I sort of exploded a bit, which isn't like me. And everybody on the group went, ugh, because I could see they're just shocked that I threw a bit of a temper on it. My anger came out, and it's caused me a lot of upset since, to think that I shouted at my friend. But I did shout, and I've analysed it since that. For 6 months, we've had to live with my husband with lymphoma. Well, he's just got over that. But of course, lymphoma destroys your immune system. The cancer treatment destroys your immune system. So it's in a double situation. And my very best friend Brenda has been through exactly the same. The second lot of lymphoma, her immune system is completely zero. So although we haven't been in any fear, because we've just not allowed ourselves, none of us have been in fear about it, but we've been very, very careful to make sure that Tony does not get exposed, because maybe a little bit better now, but in March, April, May time, if he had got it, he would have died. And they told him that in the hospital. And that hit me hard when somebody was telling me that there's no such thing as the virus. And I said to her, look, there's a whole load of stuff around it that I know there's things going on, but please don't tell me that the virus doesn't exist. And it made me think after this, because then we got on to talking about lots of the other conspiracies and so on, and thoughts, some of which I buy into, some of which I don't. But it was the whole principle of the fact that the three of these people that I talk to regularly are really evolved beings. I know they're masters. I know they're here to bring light, as all you are. And it was really upsetting for me to see them so distracted and so caught up with things and saying things that create fear. So I then sat and thought about it all, and I thought, what's going on, really going on here? And my feelings and sense of it became that there's a major distraction going on to take light workers away from what they're here to do and distract them into fears and speculations. And I had a meditation on it, and I got a very strong message, which I'm going to share with you tonight. So now, this isn't in any way to say that it's wrong to have these ideas and to open up to them and to pursue them. All I'm really aware of, and I want to share, is that they can take your power away, and we need our power, and the world needs our power so much at the moment. So I then looked, because all my healings about helping people gain back control of their lives and gain back the power in their lives, their own power that can be taken. And I started to think about this. our power can be taken in so many ways. And for years and years, I've been thinking, why is it that humans lose their confidence, their self-belief, which I consider as your power, just like that? One person saying one bad thing, and the two women in that group, me and her, both went, our energies went right down. And that, there's a, my whole point of living and being and what I'm here to do is to help bring people's energies up. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I've fallen into the trap of it. So I had fallen into it. I had allowed myself to become emotional. And I've sort of done a lot of meditating on why I did. And I think I know there's a few things that were being said about certain people who had been accused of doing some pretty horrendous things. And it hit me like a stab that there's a lot of mob. It doesn't, it's horrible to say that word mob, but you know, when a lot of people start saying things about someone without any true facts being shown, there, and we are able to do this now with Facebook and other social media, we can start pulling a person's honor, their reputation, everything. We can shred it so easily. And I immediately went back to my past life where I was on the receiving end of that. And I think quite a lot of us have been. A lot of us have been judged by an unofficial jury, and often our lives were taken for it. So I think one of my issues that I have to deal with and heal is the persecution of the past. And what I'm going to give you a little sideshow now to go through some points, but I want to just highlight the things that make us so vulnerable. And there is a reason why we're so vulnerable. I'm still working on that. I've been working on it for ages. There's a dark energy. There's our own shadow to deal with. There is a dark force out there. There's no doubt about it. I come across it all the time when I'm healing. But no matter what there is out there, there could be 59 million monster onions out there all trying to squash us or make us cry ourselves to death, whatever. It could be anything there. But whatever's out there, we have to be stronger than it. And we have to be in our power, and we have to be focused on what we're here for. And so what I wanted to talk about tonight was the different ways that we can lose our power and the different ways that we can reclaim it. So if you're along for the ride, I'm going to go and try and be smart and get this slideshow going. The first click never works. From the beginning. Okay. Well, I've got Jackie sitting there. Thank you, Jackie. Fine. Right. So now, just going to. I've mentioned manipulated as well as disempowered because manipulation will take your power as well, but it's particularly pertinent to some of the things we're looking at. Right. Finding ways to take back your power. Be in control. Be the one with the reins of your life, your decision making in your hands. Most of our force of strength comes from pretty much the same as we have in our physical body, in our core. And our core is in our solar plexus. This is also where fears sit, and that's mostly the problem, because our strength sits in the same place as our fears and anxieties, in our solar plexus. So we've got to get back in control. We do not want to be pulled around by anybody, not a single person, nobody, governments, anybody, the whole lot. I'm going to go through some of the things and places where we can be, how we can be affected, and who can affect us. So just to sort of think of what the symptoms of being fully disempowered are, and I'm sure most of us aren't in that place, but just to see what the symptoms are. Frustration, that sense of I can't control my life, I can't control what's going on in my life, I can't control how I feel, and that whole frustration of things not going the way you want them to go. You're not in your power when you're frustrated. You're certainly not in your power when you're full of anger. And that was where I am. So my hands up. I was in the wrong that day. My friend felt that she had been shouted down by me, and that was wrong, very wrong of me. So I stepped out of my power when I allowed anger to take over. Then I had to find out the source of that anger and do something about it. When you feel weak, when you feel unable to manage and to do anything about the situation you're in or the situation around you, when it gets worse, you get to the point where you can't be bothered. It's all too much effort. Another symptom of being disempowered is when you become subservient and let somebody else dominate you, and you willingly allow that to happen. You get to the point where, oh, it's for an easy life, I'm going to let you run the show, and I'm just going to do whatever you say. Demoralized, hopeless, and helpless. Losing all the will. We're all going through that a bit at the moment. And you can see people getting less and less able to cope with the situation we're going through here with the virus and all the spin-offs from it. And I'm not going to argue the pros and cons of that tonight, because we'd be here all night if we did. It's just, let's think what we can do to make ourselves feel strong, even though what's going on around us is hugely disempowering for us. When we're programmed to follow someone else's regime and ideals, so we look back over the history. I'm reading a book at the moment about the spies in between the wars in the Cold War, and reading about Stalin and the communist regime that he set up. Talk about disempowered. I mean, people lived in terror and were manipulated by terror. Just the worst situation possibly. So we're lucky in our country that we may not think so at the moment, but at least we're not in Stalin's Russia. Fatigued, yeah, absolutely exhausted by it. You feel, and I'm not talking just about this current situation, I'm talking about any situation where you are disempowered, where you lose your strength. So one who may take your power and or manipulate your mind beliefs. What can do it? Well, anything or anybody or any organization who you allow to control you. And that can be thoughts, attitudes, regimes. It can be an organization, it can be a person. It can be an ideology. The other thing that makes you disempowered is when you rely on somebody else other than yourself to make decisions. Even when you get older, you feel disempowered if you need somebody to help you when you're not well or if you're sick. There's no doubt about it. You have to work extra hard at holding your own when you are becoming fragile. Use the word fragile. I feel a bit fragile myself at the moment. But as I said earlier, my physicality is not quite as strong as it was. And that's another way that you can feel weaker. If someone withdraws love from you and they can manipulate you, I've seen it so often in relationships. It's almost like, I'll love you if you do what I want you to do. And I've seen that happen. And that's another powerful way of being manipulated. You you work to please someone because you think you might lose their love if you don't. And there's a lot of mothers and fathers, but I have to say, I think mothers are more adept at that sort of guilt, that guilty, make you feel guilty situation to get you to do what they want. But that's a really strong manipulator, making you feel guilty and threatening to withdraw love. And if that's been happening to you as a child, that it's going to take a long time for you to get fully confident in yourself and strong in yourself. And when you lose faith, that's another way you can lose your power. Taking other people's beliefs and not your own truth. We're going to talk a bit about this whole thing about your own truth, because I think that's vitally important. Okay. So I'm going to look at a few of the places where this power broking can come from. And this is only a touch on it, but authorities and governments can do it. And I think one of the problems we've got at the moment is because there's so many new rules and regulations coming in, we can feel we're being herded around and we're being bossed around and we're being taken control of. And it's true, we are. And we've, over the last 20, 30, 40 years, there's many, many more laws and regulations coming into our lives. Most of them are there with the idea of protecting us and helping us, but it doesn't always feel like that. But I'm thinking of two rules and laws that came in, which people balked at when they first came. One was to wear a helmet on a bike or a motorbike. Another one was to wear a seatbelt. It shows how old I am. I can remember when they brought that in and everybody's going, well, telling us what to do. Well, you know, so we're now being told to wear a mask. I actually was going to try and share a fun little cartoon about that with you, but it makes people feel that they're being forced to do something that they're not sure they want to do. So it is going to definitely make you feel weaker. So therefore, you've got to find a way to regain that strength. And they're not always transparent with what they're saying, and we know that, and we've caught them out different times over the past. And I was thinking about America and the situation in America where the CIA were bumping off people because it suited America. And when we found out about it through the WikiLeaks leaks, how annoyed, how angry we could be to think that our governments could, and our government colluded with it too, certain things they did, that they could do such things and use their power in a bad way. And, you know, we've all stepped over our power at some stage in some life. That's how we have to identify it, that the line where we have to be careful not to step into the darkness. And I know I have. And if you've got spiritual powers and psychic powers, there's a very, very narrow line that you have to be wary of, that you don't step over, because you can't put your will, or you shouldn't put your will on other people. And when you're working with strong powers, it's very easy to do that. So that's why we have, in healing, we have some very strict rules about what we can do for other people without their permission. But we've got those rules. I'm not sure we're sure the governments have. Right. Conspiracy theories, let's just say it. Now, there's a lot of positive things in people delving into why is this happening, what's the big story behind it, what's the very big picture. I'm trying to see the very, very, very big picture here, and I've got my own views on that. But there are some good points in looking and digging and checking out things. And a lot of this way, the truth can be exposed. And helps us to find out the other side, the other story, what's really going on. And a lot of these investigations that people do uncover lies and deception. But a lot of the time, they create fear with facts that aren't checkable. And, and I've come up with this again later, one doctor says something somewhere, and everybody says, oh my goodness, that's the truth. Whereas there's 50 million doctors around the rest of the world saying something else. Doesn't necessarily because the person has passed some exams and has a responsible job that makes them be telling the truth. So there is a lot of fear that can be created with these facts and figures and things that are thrown around that are not 100% provable. And also they can be quite dramatic, and they make the person who tells them have a lot of power. So this is another pitfall. If the person is using their theories to gain attention and power themselves, and I think a lot of the QAnon situation is around that. So it causes distrust, it causes fear, and it causes confusion, and that isn't what we want just at the moment, and we never want that. So we start to lose faith in everything. So that means we've got to start focusing back on ourselves, because I don't think we can trust. You could say it's best not to trust anybody but yourself. There's a lot of pseudoscience out there too. There's a bit of a now the vaccine. There are dangers in vaccines. There's also a lot of huge amount of good that's done by vaccine. But now we've got people who are terrified of the word vaccine. And that's disturbing. There you are. Just because he's doctor doesn't make him right. And fake news. I'm sorry I put his face up, but he's the one who likes to talk about fake news. These are comments that other people have made about fake news, and the first one is from a journalist. And I thought it's quite an interesting thing to share. It may be that facts are as plentiful as before, but they're getting drowned out by alternative facts. Journalists used to hold truth in the highest esteem. Some still do, others less so. Since there's been social media, anybody can go out there and put things down and say this is the truth. And in the past, generally speaking, journalists used to stick to a certain code. Seems to be that that's not so anymore. And Marcus said to me, one must only tend to one's garden, which was a quote from Voltaire. And I like that. Stick to your own garden. Don't go around trying to shift around other people's. And my comment on this is be discerning and make your own mind up about what is true and what is false. And if you don't know, walk away from it. If you can't change it, let it go. And I was meant to look up that lovely prayer. I think it was Saint Bernadette's prayer or something about only change the things that you can change, and have the sense to walk away from things you can't change, some such thing. I'm sure somebody's going to remember it and stick it up on chat for me. I'm sure they will. Yeah, St. Francis's prayer. Thank you. Good. I thought it was something to do with St. Francis. It's not Irish. I thought it was an Irish one. Stick to what you can change. Stick to what you can do and leave the rest. Walk away from it. Another great source of manipulation and power mongering is big business. Big pharma manipulating the markets. some disgraceful things with the way they've tested the products in the past. The terrible way they're putting up the price of something that people desperately need because they can. That's using power. Tobacco giants. My God, my husband's life was in tobacco, and he will admit that there were terrible lies made, terrible lies told, deception and manipulation of the marketplace and the people. And the banks, oh my goodness me, they just having a conversation with the bank disempowers me. So and let's not get onto insurance companies. We all know the stories of insurance companies and what they do to us. It's always for money. It's money, and money is a power, and the world is full, and always has been, full of people who will misuse their power for greed. And I know that there's talk that there are aliens who are trying to change the world here, but we don't need aliens to give us a hard time. We can create so much hard time ourselves just by having the number of people who are greedy. Look at the way the Amazon's been destroyed, purely for greed, money. And my friend Debbie's dear friend David Stevens always used to say, when you're looking for anything like undercover and worse manipulation, follow the money. You'll find that at the end of the day, someone's doing it to make money. And it's exactly what my husband says whenever I talk to him about this. He says 90% of this you'll find goes back to someone is making money out of it. So it also comes down to about blame. We can very easily fall into the state of a victim. I'm sure we don't think of ourselves as victims, but I know I can get into the situation where the bank or Microsoft or something that's upsetting me in my life, and even the government, and I'm shouting at the television. I'm thinking, I'm blaming them. I'm allowing them to make me angry. I'm allowing them to manipulate my peace of mind. And so in that instant, I am a victim of them because I'm putting blame out there. And that the minute you put blame out, you are losing control. You're saying that person is controlling how I feel. And that could be your partner, it could be the neighbor, it could be your mother, it could be your child, it could be anybody in your life. Anytime you blame somebody else for your emotional state, you are the victim, and you're stepping into being a victim. And we know that being a victim is a really weak place to be. So just keep that in mind all the time. I'm always bringing myself up to the mark on it. You know, I'm blaming this. It's no good. It's easy to do. We do it without realizing we're doing it. And every time we do it, we're giving away our power. So, you know, people can do some terrible things to people. There's people that go through horrendous tortures and deprivation, people that were sent off to the gulags for 20 years. Some of them walked out of there still with their soul and their inner power in place. Some didn't. We want to be the people that hold on to our inner power, whatever's going on around us. We have to. We're here at the most important time of mankind's involvement, or our spiritual involvement. We're changing a swiftly changing consciousness. So much going on. We're in the chaos that comes before the healing. And this is the most important time for us to hold our center and hold our nerve. And just remember that if we're truly in our spiritual power, we have to know that we create everything in our lives. We mentioned Joe Dispenza earlier. Joe's, I mean, that's his mantra, isn't it? You create everything. So whatever's going on, we're creating this. En masse, we're creating it. And then as individuals, we're creating it. The minute we say somebody else is and passing it out, we're losing control again. We definitely create it, good and bad. And that's a hell of a responsibility, but it's a good thing too. I thought when I was going through this list of things that can take our power, I was thinking of what was going on in America, and particularly America, but lots of other countries too. And that is the injustice of inequality and an attitude that one person is superior to another, that one race is superior, that one class of people is superior to another. And we're now, as we're moving into ascension, this is one of the things that we identify as a three-dimensional way of thinking, that we're either superior or inferior, either of those. And that is such a third-dimensional thinking. We have to walk away from it. And any time you start to think you're not as good as the other person, somebody might be better educated, somebody might be more knowledgeable, somebody might be more skillful at something, but fundamentally you're equal. Just different, just uniquely different. And to be fully into ascension and moving into that fifth dimension, we have to drop all of this stuff. So it's not going to affect, I'm sure it doesn't affect any of you, but it's just something to be aware of, that any sense within yourself that you're not equal, you're working towards, through ascension, we're working towards the state where we feel and know our divinity. We understand it. We started off the whole of the mind, body and spirit movement about 25, 30 odd years maybe ago, with our new age saying we have to love ourselves. That's sort of a mantra that has sort of gone a bit thin sometimes. I just think we could just accept ourselves as being different and unique, and we're unique and different because we've all got different jobs to do here. We've all got different lives to live and different roles to play. So we would be different, but all are just as valuable. So I'm not saying that we have to go out there and join marches and things, but I'm saying that it has to start with ourselves, and we have to see ourselves as equal and of equal value to everybody else. That is a step back into power. What else takes our power? Well, I mean, I'm sure I'm going to miss lots of things, but I'm hoping to cover, a broad band of the things that do it for us, take it from us. And ill health can do it. I think the answer here, and if you're in a state of disability, having seen dear ones close to me go through this, my mother went from being disempowered and frustrated to, I saw her starting to come to terms with the new her, the new physical her, and what she could and couldn't do. And the minute she said, okay, I can't do that, I accept that, that's the new me, if you like, then she was back into that peaceful state, which is that's where we want to be. While she was railing against it and pushing against it, and I don't mean just trying to do things she couldn't do, but being angry about the fact she couldn't do it. That once accepted that she couldn't, and then she was back to being peaceful. So even when we're going through old age or an illness, it's that acceptance within you that this is just another state of being, and if we could just keep away from the anger, we'll be fine. So in a day-to-day point of view, it's really useful to just keep asking your body and reading your body what messages it's giving you, because very often our spirit doesn't speak to us directly, but it does speak to us through our body. And I know Debbie Shapiro and Louise Hay have both written great books on this, and it's always good to have a look. I mean, I do. I'm sure you do too, actually. What's the broken elbow all about, Diana? I bet you've looked it up. Because these things do have messages for us, and again, you start to take control again. You say, oh, everything's on my left side. Oh, that means my spiritual side. And maybe I'm not doing what I want to do, or maybe I'm forcing it, or maybe I'm ready for change, and I'm not woken up to that change yet. It's this questioning of yourself and looking to find how you can adapt to these things that give you back your power. The virus. Well, all I can say about that is just keep yourself safe. Do what you can within the limitations, the constrictions that we've been put into, and stop railing about the masks and just get on with wearing them and just hope the whole thing goes away. Toot sweet. And in the meantime, let's get on with some of the things that we can do. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So what can you do? Well, they're obvious things. I mean, it's being said all the time, but exercise and eat well and take vitamins and supplements. Yes, I mean, I was advised that it's good to take vitamin C, vitamin D, and there's a few other things like that. And so we stocked up on the best quality ones we could, and we've just been popping them in every morning and thinking about doing what I can there. Fresh air, going for walks every day, really good at that. One of the joys of living where we live is that we've got the forest out there that we can walk in, and even the most strictest shutdowns, we were out there with our dogs every day, with our Labradors, Jackie, all of us with our Labradors, and God, nature has been amazing this year. Of course, it's like that every year, but my eyes are open to it, and my gratitude is greater than ever. So again, some big plus sides to this. I've eaten too well though. Put on too much weight. Another reason for losing control and your power is dependency and attachments. Attachments, and I've talked a lot about this in the past, but they do cause a lot of your suffering, because if you think about it, it's that puppet thing. If you're attached to something, that thing, whatever it is, it be a person, a state of mind, or whatever it is you're attached to outside of yourself, makes you the puppet, not the puppet master. It's always worth thinking about what you might be attached to. This is an extreme one, of course, staying with somebody for security. That's an extreme one. And relying on alcohol and drugs to make you feel strong. But all addictions control you. Most of us have got much lighter weight issues of attachment. Mine got a little bit towards cheese and crisps and naughty things like that, and kept making chocolate cakes and biscuits and things, and I've managed to stop that by simply not buying the ingredients anymore. But take control of it. So, um, believe it or not, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, your family, we're talking about manipulation as well. The manipulation from the family can be extreme. If you've been programmed by your parents to think that you're no good, that's a huge manipulation, and that is something to put on your to-do list of what you're going to heal. What are you going to do about it? They may have said you're useless. They may have taken away your self-confidence and self-esteem. All right, they did, but we have to get that back. And one of the things I've learned with the intention groups we're running is that as soon as you start to identify what your goal is and what you intend to do, it starts to happen. Sometimes slowly, creaking along towards the goal, sometimes super fast. But nothing happens until you put the intention there. So if your family are manipulating you in any way whatsoever, or have manipulated you, have made you think things about yourself that are not true, then put that on your intention list to heal that and step away from it. It works in our healing sessions. As soon as we both have that intention, my client and myself, and then we call in spirit to complete the trio of energies, then things start to change and start to happen. So it is a matter of intention to stop that programming, to clear that programming. Children are really good at making you feel guilty. And jealousy and envy in a family can cause a tremendous amount of manipulation and power broking, I could say. People put you down, and family, children have a bad habit of doing it, especially in their teenage, when they're finding themselves to lash out, and the person they'll lash out at is their parents, because they know they'll always love them. It's their way of testing their way into life. That's fine, as long as you don't take it personally. Just see it for what it is. Otherwise, they've got you and they're dragging you down, dropping your energy levels, putting you out of your power. Well, religions, associations, and cults, we know about those, but they have to be mentioned. And one of my friends was caught up in a Buddhist group, and the last place you'd expect it, but the guy who was running it stepped into his ego big time, and in the end he was throwing things at the people who were working with him. They're all young. He got quite a lot of young people working with him, and it was appalling, absolutely appalling what was going on, and it was so insidious they didn't even realize what had happened. So it turned into a cult, into a dictatorship, actually. So just sort of think about the energies and feelings that we can go through that disempower us, either us having them or other people close to us having them. Yearning for something you haven't got. It's obvious, really, isn't it? Because you're immediately giving the power to that thing. There's nothing wrong with wanting something. No problem with that at all. But when it becomes obsessive and when it takes over your mind, so it's not when you want to think about it, but when that thing seems to come in and make you think about it. Jealousy, very disempowering. And jealousy comes very often from the feeling of inadequacy. So it's back to that realization that we're all absolutely okay and perfect as we are. We're here to do a job. We're here to play a role, and we will be exactly right for it because we've worked at that. We've got the right star sign, we've got the right sex, we've got the right conditions of our birth and the people who brought us up to give us the strengths, to give us the challenges that we need for whatever we've chosen for this lifetime. Of course, the obvious ones that disempower are bullying and dominating. But fear can, do you do this? Are you doing what you do because you want to or because you're fearful of not doing it? Fear is the thing that's going around big time at the moment. The biggest problem we've got is the fear around the virus, not the virus itself. The virus itself isn't actually, I'm not saying it's a hoax, but it's not as powerful as we've let it be. But the fear that's been built around it as well, on all sides, from both sides of the argument and all sides of the argument. So that's our challenge. We come through this, we can come through it stronger. Who knows that we didn't create this whole thing to give us the strengths that we need to go forward through into the ascensions, through into the raising of our consciousness. Guilt is a big one that brings you down, takes away your power. So finding ways to clear guilt that you carry, asking for forgiveness, working through your guilt, forgiving yourself. I mentioned curses and black magic because I deal with that all the time. That is definitely the dark side, working to take our strength. There are ways of getting through this too. Anybody, I think most of you know that I've got ways and means and also got connections to sort this out. And your own negative dialogue. You're probably your worst enemy when it comes to your love of yourself, your acceptance of yourself. Just listen to what you're thinking about yourself and listen to what you say to other people about yourself. Try and have a positive dialogue with yourself and for yourself. I'm lucky. When I say something or start to go down the slippery path, my mother's voice comes in and she's like, oh, don't be so ridiculous. Of course you can do it. Or you're perfectly capable. You know you are. Right. Yes, Mum. So she's a great help. But we need to have that dialogue. We need to have that positive voice in our head. Hello, these are the states of being that disempowers. Some of these we can control, some of them we can't. Low self-esteem has to be worked on, and what self-worth we talked about. Dependency due to insecurity, not having enough money, poverty, not having the skills to get us a decent job, lack of education, which is why we all encourage our children to do their best at school. It's just a pity we can't always get that message across. Learning skills do give you power. Mental illness, knowing this, we've got it in our family big time, and it is truly disempowering. And working through why someone's in that state of mental illness. Disabilities and long-term sickness. These are things that really can drag you down, but it's possible to go through all of them and reverse a lot of them and reverse how you feel in any of those states. We know someone said, what is the purpose of life on earth? Why do we come here? And I guess in a nutshell, you could say we come here to find love, and we come to find love in ourselves. And that is really it. That's this power thing I'm talking about, really is that love of self and strength that you get from full and 100% acceptance of who you are. Not to say you're perfect in any way, not to say you don't make mistakes, but to just fully accept yourself. Some of the most powerful people on earth are ones with the worst disabilities. And I mean power in a positive, nice way, not in a push other people around way. Now, what do you need to empower yourself? Well, the first thing I've got on my list is discernment. That is about finding your own truth, and I'm coming a bit more to that in a moment. It was interesting. I was part of a group of people doing some spiritual work a few years ago, and one of the great spiritual traits, or spiritual assets, one of the ones right at the top, of course, there's compassion and self-acceptance. I know I should dig those 12 out actually, because they were really interesting, useful ones. I'll try and remember to find them and share them. I'll send them out to you. But one of them right on the top of the list was discernment. And that is, of course, being connected to your intuition, your full intuition, and listening to what's coming from you. And I've made some of the worst mistakes I've made have been where I haven't listened to my intuition, but I've listened to something else, something that says, oh, that would be really good for you, or that's what you should do, that's what you ought to be doing, not what's coming from inside. I think this is what I really, really need to do for me. And when you don't need to do it for you and you make yourself happy with it, then of course everybody else benefits. You need inner strength, self-belief and confidence. So anything that takes any of those from you, if you're not in the state of using those, then something needs to heal. So put it on the list. Find those things within yourself. So talking about discernment, I listened to a really good YouTube. Judy sent it to me. I mentioned I was doing this talk, and we were talking about discernment then, and she sent me a really good YouTube by someone called Laurie Ladd. I don't know if anybody else has come across her. She's an American spiritual teacher, and I was really impressed with her talk, really impressed. And it was interesting because she is saying, make sure you don't take the truth of somebody you admire. So, for example, take Joe Spencer, who we all think is a brilliant guy. But if Joe was to come out with something that says, oh, well, this is my belief about the COVID and da-da-da-da, because he's somebody who's an icon and somebody we respect, it's a very good chance you say, oh, Joe says it, so it's got to be good. That is immediately stepping outside of your own discernment. You've given him the power to make that decision for you. So it's like seeing it through a prism. She calls it a lens, and I've been always talking about prisms, but lens is good. Are you seeing it through the lens of that, oh, that's a person I admire, so therefore I believe him? Back to what I said earlier. Oh, that was a doctor that said that, so that must be good. It must be true. No. Find out what you truly, truly feel inside yourself. And the other side of the coin, as she says, if it's coming from somebody you dislike, you don't immediately dismiss it because that is coming from somebody you dislike. Just listen. Does that, even though it's coming out of that man's mouth or that woman's mouth, then is it something that resonates? It can do. It can do. Allow it to be your own decision. We're also influenced by programming, what we believe is the truths of the way we're brought up. And we've been lucky, I think, in the last 20, 30 years that we're allowing children to be more free thinking and not to just take the dictates of what Dad says as being the truth and that's it, and going to the rest of your life you're following your father's politics, your father's beliefs, and your father's morals and whatever. But we are now much allowing children to have a much more thinking for themselves. But there are still those cultural and what teachers said and what our parents said. Just got to step away from all that programming, because they may program your mind, but they're not going to program your soul. And the more we're going to connect is to that soul energy, that higher self, actually, that higher self, which is really untouched by the programming. It's untainted part of ourselves. And we also have got to be careful not to be influenced by our shadow. And our shadow side is all our hurts and our woundings and scars and negative memories. It's not a bad thing. It's just that it's a lower frequency energy within ourselves. So that's the fears and the anxieties that we carry. So we don't want to be influenced by that. We want to listen to ourselves. And we've talked about kinesiology before. It'd be really good if we could get someone to come at one of our talks. If anybody knows anybody is an expert on kinesiology, it would be really cool to have a talk about this, because I really like this. Kinesiology is a way of talking to yourself and getting answers, true answers. And you can do it with the fingers, the lock fingers. I'm sure a lot of you know this. And also you can do it by stating what you think is your truth, or making a statement and letting your body either move forward or back, whichever is your yes and no. Once you've established what your yes is and what your no is, my yes is forward, my no is backwards. So I say, is this good for me? But even better to just make a statement. And as you make the statement, your body responds. And it's quite amazing. Some of the things that I really thought, my mind thought was a no is a yes, and vice versa. So kinesiology is a great way to help you with this. Someone's coming through, I'm sure, any minute now with a suggestion here that they've got somebody. Anyway, I'll come back to that in a minute. So use your own consciousness to see the truth, and keep connected to your higher self. You know, don't know whether you can see this. Can you see this? Jackie, you're the one I can see at the moment. You can just nod or not. Can you see this? Not really clearly. Okay, well, I'll show it again at the end. It's our higher self and our soul as two separate parts of our spiritual being. And the part of us that we need to be connecting to is our higher self. And our higher self will tell us the truth all the time. Our mind, not necessarily so. Not necessarily so. So don't be a victim of other people's ideal thoughts of intentions. Just be your own master. You are masters. Everybody here is a master. The people here tonight and watching this in the future are your light workers. You're here to bring light. You've got a very, very important mission. You've been here in Atlantis. You've been here as Cathars. You've been here at the time of Christ. You're here now. Really important times in the evolution of our spirit through humanity, using the human state to evolve. And this is such an important time for us to be our own masters and remember who we are. Remember that we are spirit. The body bit is literally the thing we're really grateful for, that carries us through this and gives us all the challenges. When I was over my shouting at my dear friend, I was wondering why I was so rattled that I ended up shouting at her. I asked my guide, Kuan Yin. Well, actually, I asked open to any guide that wanted to come through, and it was Kuan Yin that came through. She's been with me all the time of my spiritual journey, and this is what she said. You're being affected by the fear of the world at the moment. Keep calm. I mean, you can read this, but maybe you're on a small screen, so I'll read it out. Keep calm. There is a deal of misinformation. There is a deal of hoodwinking. Lovely old-fashioned words she used. Lies and cover-ups. That which was hidden will be seen and healed. The light is winning, because there is a big battle going on between the light and the dark, as I'm sure you're all aware. You and other light workers on earth are to hold the light. Do not get caught up in the media, underground, and government-led. Stay neutral. Good word, stay neutral. Remember what you are there to do. And I can't really add anything to that because it says it all. We just listen to what's being said. Does it work for us with our truth? If not, disband it. This is really about so much stuff that's being spoken at the moment. It doesn't really matter whether it's true or not. Keep yourself calm and get on with what you're here to do. So what can we do? We can remember that we're spirit, as I just mentioned, and keep connected to our higher self. And there's the morning ritual, which is to protect our energy, which is a sensible thing to do. So you call in protection for your energy. I use the blue flame of Archangel Michael, but you can use white light, you can use anything you like. Protect your energy. Open your heart to give and receive love. Open your mind for opportunities and insights. And then connect to your higher self. And if you just put your fingers together like that, that's symbolic of that connection. So we're connecting now to our true spiritual self, the true self. And we just do that 3 times and bring that energy down. We do that every day. It sets the tone for the day of remembering that we're spiritual, remembering that we're connected to this divine self and who that is us. Also really important, and this is good to counterbalance any mental health issues as well, stay grounded and keep yourself aligned and centered. And you can do that quite simply with that I am centered and aligned. My roots grow into the earth. I connect to Mother Earth, Gaia, right now, right now, right now. That's your intention being set. That's that authority that you have over your own dominion when you say that. You've got that will, you've got that free will, and you're exercising it when you say that. Trust your body's response. Your body will talk to you. Mine, if I get a negative feeling or thought, it's a wobble in my stomach. When it's the truth, I get a shimmer down my back, a nice shimmer, and I get a warm feeling in my chest. You might get something different, but start to listen and feel that. Not what the mind's doing, it's what your body does. The body is a better speaker. It holds the truth more than the mind, funnily enough. Anybody that tries to control you in any way, just step away. You don't have to push them away in any nasty way, but just step back a bit and cut the cords to them. Use your thread cutting to break the thread of that cord that and if they're trying to control you, to keep breaking that thread as you set the intention of being free of them, free of their manipulation, free of their control. And fully step into that sense of responsibility for what's going on for you. So it's a real powerful place to be. I am responsible for everything that happens to me, good or bad. I take full responsibility. It's a strong state to be. So I think of certain things and icons and people in the past, and sometimes when I want to help a woman be strong and step into her female strength, I talk about the Amazon women who were strong and determined, and like just touching on the Amazon energy is good. You feel that strength. Not sure they always did good things with that power, but at least connect to that strength that they had. And you can do that with any icon that you want, that you believe in, just to pull that energy in. But it's your responsibility, nobody else's. Energy clearing, of course, is really helpful when it all gets too much and you've been overloaded and overwhelmed. Maybe your work puts you into that place. I know mine does sometimes. And I've used my sprays. I love the spray. Whiz, whiz, whiz. Oh, that's good. Refreshing. Lifts me up. Juniper essential oils. Peppermint. Oh, I've just done it. Lovely. I can do it then because I really like that. It's getting towards the end of the day. I need it. It's lovely. And that's essential oils. Sage. Give the place a big clearing. Give yourself a clear. Debbie Atkinson mentioned having a salt bath the other day, and I don't know, I couldn't find any Epsom salts, but I did get some salts that I had been given as part of a body scrub, and I smothered myself with the salt, and it really made me feel light. And the other thing I like to do to lift up my energy is there's some, I suppose they're not advertised, but lime shower gel, where they actually put real limes in. The lime is really good at clearing your energy, and that gives you strength too. You're not being dragged down. My husband's on a budget now of how much news he's allowed to watch when I'm around. He loves CNN, and I go into the room and it's like 4 minutes, that's all. Or I, in the middle of the night, like, what's that? The television's on. He sneaked downstairs and he's watching his CNN when I'm not around. Because I've just said, that's it, I can't do the news anymore. I can't do the British news. I can't do the social media. I'm okay because I'm really lucky. All I get sent is dogs and cats and nice pictures of things, and people's sunsets and things. I love it. One of my ladies that I've been helping was getting completely overwhelmed with all the stuff that she was being sent. And I said to her, just delete, 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 and then find all the fun stuff. And she's been sending me all these amazing things since then. And I'm so pleased because I know that her focus on that will have lifted her up. Nature, going for walks, of course, that does it. It recalibrates your energy quicker than anything. And I know most of you do that because we've talked about this. Find entertainment that lifts you up. Find friends that make you laugh. Trust in your God and your universal energies of light that you're attuned to. And, typo there. Just remember that the light is always stronger than the dark. And there is a battle going on at the moment. But the light is winning. And the light will win, and the light will win in your world and within you too, because it is stronger. You've only got to turn the light on in the dark room to see where the strength is. So just keep that as a high focus. Keep on your work. A lot of people are coming to me at the moment asking to be helped forward into their next level and stage or whatever. And it's beautiful energies that are coming through for people. It's just amazing at the moment. Oh my goodness. But also, we're doing it anyway, just being who we are, we're doing our work. So it's not like we have to go and seek out to do something new. We'll be prompted and we'll be drawn to it if we have to, but just accepting that what you do, because if you start to frustrate about it too much, that again drops your energies. So the place where I mentioned earlier that our will is and our strength is in the solar plexus. And the symbol I put up is the solar logos. And the solar logos, you know, for centuries and centuries and centuries, I don't know, how long have we been around? 50,000, no, 50,000 years we've been like we are now. And a long, millions of years before that, 50 million years, yeah, 50,000, we've been like that we are now. And then before that we were another kind of being. We've always acknowledged the sun. And the sun is the strongest energy in our universe. It makes sense to touch to the spirit of it. And the spirit of the sun has a very strong masculine energy. It is the moon is feminine, and masculine is the sun. And that connecting to the sun, and from a spiritual perspective, is hugely powerful, and it will help to bring up the energy of your solar plexus, because that is your sun, the solar plexus, the solar logos. The solar logos is the spirit of the sun. So making that connection is fantastic. It strengthens your core, your ability to stick it out, the determination, and your will. And that's what we need at the moment, because that's also where the fears are. And the stronger our will is than our solar area is, the fears can't exist there. It's like I just can't do it. So that's it. I'm going to now lead you through a meditation to claim your power. If you hold on to that intention, I'm going to bring in the energy of the solar logos. I'm going to bring that into your core. And if you want to accept it, all you have to do is open your heart and your intention to receive. So let's do that now. I'm going to, yeah, because we're going to close our eyes now anyway. So just sweep your shoulders and let go of the responsibilities and the burdens that you carry. Just sweep them off your shoulders, flick them away. Just center yourself. If you put your hands together, it gives you a symbolic centering. And open your heart to receive. Just open your hands as they are the doors of your heart. So that's a symbolic intention of opening to receive. And do the same in front of your solar plexus with the intention to receive the energies that I'm going to bring through to you. I surround you with the blue flame of Archangel Michael, holding your energy strong and protected. I place a golden star tetrahedron around you and spin it round and round to create a light body of golden light. And the light is the color of the sun. And this energy of this light body will filter any energies coming through to you, clearing them and cleansing them. And I call back to you all your energy from wherever it's been focused. Bring it back now, bringing it back to your center, into your core, bringing all your energy back from wherever you've been thinking of the past, of the future, the worries, of the concerns of the world. Your concerns, your worries, your fears, bringing back your energy now, cleansing it through this beautiful golden light. Aligning your energy now connecting you to your higher self, that divine aspect of you, this part of you, that is you, the true you. It's not affected by the wounding of your many challenges. Right now, you're fully connected to your higher self, your soul purpose, your life purpose, your divinity, and your wisdom. Allowing that energy, beautiful energy, to flow right through you now. And then bringing it right down, 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 through your roots down into the earth and connecting with Gaia. Feeling that strength of the connection of grounded. Remembering that your spirit, pure, loving spirit, on earth at this time to bring love, to bring light, and to receive love and light. You are a light bearer, a light giver, a ripple maker. Call back to you all those aspects that have been taken in your disempowerment by whoever, whatever, whenever, with your intention. And I put my intention out to call back all that you've lost. If it's your intention, it'll be divine intention. And in the name of the light, we call back to you all that you've lost, bringing back your strength, bringing back your power, bringing back everything that is yours and your truth. Connecting now to the energy of the sun, the solar logos, the great spirit of strength. Bringing that energy now straight down as a beautiful beam of golden light straight into your solar plexus. And as it hits your solar plexus spins into a perfect circle of bright, strong, yellow, glowing light. It grows stronger and stronger. And I'm filling it now with healing energies too. Healing and transforming the fears and anxieties embedded in deep, going back to childhood, going back to past lives, healing those fears, destroying that thought that you're not good enough, and turning it into a full acceptance of who you truly are. Filling you with light and strength right now, right now, right now. Reclaim your power right now, right now. More light and more light flows into you, healing all that needs healing, detaching all that needs detaching, filling you from top to bottom with light, with love, with strength, with peace. Releasing all vows you've ever made to follow another. and replace it with the mantra that you are your own master. We send out the light now, and we send it out to everyone in the world. Everyone is affected at this moment, and that's as it's meant to be. But many are filled with fear and anxiety. We send out strength now. Bring it in from the sun, from the solar logos. Bring it in, add your strength, and send it out as a beautiful beam of empowering light to everyone in our world to dissolve the fear right now, right now, right now. Calling all those in spirit that wish to help us, bringing through more light, more strength for everyone, for every soul on earth at this time. Be touched by your light right now.